Are you worried of being that foreigner who can't even follow basic social norms when you come to Japan? Then this video is for you. Alright everyone, welcome back to the Nihongo Oji YouTube channel. Today we are going over basic etiquette rules for when you ride on Japan's trains. Sound good? Let's get started. Okay, so the first and probably best thing you could do when riding on Japan's trains is to be silent. Keep your voice down. You know what I'm saying? Look, it's not like you can't talk at all or have fun chatting with your friends around the train. But the thing is, if you generally have a loud talking voice, you should probably practice or learn to try to bring that voice down. Because hey, even myself and some of my friends, when we first came to Japan, even if we were aware and trying to be quieter on trains, sometimes, I don't know, I just find myself speaking with a louder voice than those around me. Probably as I get lost and start having fun in the conversation. And it might take you a little bit of time to even realize you're speaking too loudly, but it's definitely something you can do. So of course, this means no phone calls on the train. Unless you're in the countryside or the train is basically empty and you're in the corner talking in an unobtrusive way, then it's gonna be really hard for you to justify speaking on the phone in the train in Japan. How I handle it is whenever I'm on a business call or even just speaking with my family on the phone, if we're not done talking yet, I'll either just wait for the next train, come fairly often unless you're in the countryside, or I'll just politely let them know, my train's coming in a few minutes and I call you back later, or just end the call there before getting on the train. That way you don't have to worry about being rude or disrespecting the other passengers in the train. Now there is an exception to this rule, and that is if you are riding on the bullet train, on the Shinkansen, or maybe some other types of express trains, or even some regular trains might have this, but basically the space in between the carriages, that's where you'll be allowed and able to make phone calls without disturbing those around you. I say allowed, but it's not technically illegal or banned to speak on phones in the train, but it's just basic respect. Those around you, myself included, want to travel in peace and quiet, especially when there's a ton of people on the train. So let's keep the peace and have our phone calls where they should be at, either outside off the train or in the non-seating area between the carriages. Now, will you run into a group of louder Japanese people, especially late on Friday or Saturday night? Of course you will. But in general, you'd be surprised at how you'll get on a packed Japanese train morning rush hour and it just being super silent other than sounds of the train moving. It's pretty crazy, but it is super nice. Okay, so the next thing will be for when you actually get on the train. How do you do it? Just think of general elevator rules. In general, there will always be a space marked out on the platform that tells you where you should stand while you're waiting for the train. Then, once the train actually arrives, this is kind of an unspoken rule because it's not really written anywhere, but just as you would for when people get off an elevator, you'll want to step off to the side and be ready to let people get off. Kind of like clockwork, it happens automatically. You're lined up, waiting to get on the train arrives, and boom, as soon as the train arrives, everyone just kind of moves over and gets ready to let people off. And then once everyone is off, then boom, you shuffle in and find your spot inside the train. Simple as that, neat, clean, organized. What more could you want? Now, being aware of the space that you take up and whether you might be disturbing other people is a big thing in Japan. So when you're in the train, you want to make sure you're not really hitting other people, your stuff isn't hitting other people if you're carrying an umbrella, for example. And also, when it comes time for people to get off the train, that's when you'll want to shuffle in the train to kind of let people through. Or if you're near the exit, you might want to step off the train, move a little bit to the side, and wait for everyone to get out before then shuffling back into the train. When it gets a little more crowded, that's usually how it'll work, so be ready for it. Now, when it comes to backpacks, you'll either want to move them from your back to the front and have it right here, or you'll want to take it off completely and put it on the floor somewhere unobtrusive between your legs. I mean, you could always put it up on the luggage space, but it might be harder if it's a bit more crowded, so keep that in mind. But why would you put it in front? Doesn't it take up like the same space as if you had it in the back? Well, yes, but it's a lot harder to accidentally bump someone with your huge backpack or to hit them or to block them if your backpack is actually in front and you can see exactly where it is, where the edges of it are, right? I will admit, it took a bit of getting used to this, and I didn't even notice that this was a thing until, I don't know, I was 3 years into Japan, but it actually makes sense and makes it a lot easier to avoid disturbing people just by having the backpack in front. Or me personally, I like to put it on the floor since usually I carry a pretty heavy bag all the time. With that said, I remember when my mom first came to Japan, she would carry, by reflex, her backpack in front of her. And I was so impressed. I was like, wow, Mom, how'd you know to do that in Japan? Like, who taught you these etiquette rules? And she was like, what etiquette rules? And I was like, what do you mean? But you're carrying your backpack in front. And that's when she told me, no, she just has it in front with her hands and arms over it so that nothing gets stolen from her bag in the crowded trains. And that just blew my mind. And I found that hilarious because the idea of getting something stolen from you on the train in Japan, not that it can happen, but it doesn't really happen. I've never thought about it in my life. And it's so funny how from country to country, I mean, my mom's French, and on the Paris subway, man, if you're not extremely vigilant and careful with your stuff 24/7 around the clock, you're definitely getting something stolen from you. So makes sense why she was doing that. Crazy to think about how different just your basic living experience could be living in a place where pickpocketing doesn't really happen like Japan, and then riding every day on the metro subway. Just another one of those small, really much appreciated comforts of living in an amazing place like Japan. It's not bad, I gotta say. Just a little side note, yeah, when you're lining up for the Japanese trains, and I told you, right, there's a place to line up, those areas might be outlined in Japanese, so can't really understand exactly where you're supposed to line up, because sometimes there's some for the first train, the next train after that, or, you know, express, local, super express trains. But just do your best, don't worry, it's not that bad. You'll be fine. Now let's talk food. Are you allowed to eat food on Japanese trains? Again, there's no rule that says you aren't allowed to eat food, but I will say this very much depends on your current circumstances. Let me explain. Look, if you're in a super crowded train during rush hour and you're here trying to bring out your food and you're just like squished against everyone else and you're eating and potentially dropping things all over the place, that's not gonna work. Also, maybe if you're sitting and there's someone right next to you on both sides and you're trying to pull a lot of stuff and eat something between them that might be smelly especially, I don't know if it's like kimchi something, who knows, but that might be considered disruptive by Japanese standards to the people around you. So you want to be careful about that. Let's say I'm having a busy day, haven't had much time to eat, I might buy an onigiri or two, rice ball or two, and have that on the train. But when I do, I make sure that, first of all, the train isn't too crowded, and second of all, that I'm not putting anything anywhere, because as you know, even rice balls, the seaweed can be kind of flaky and it might be really easy to just kind of drop small pieces, yes, granted, but you don't want to make a mess. Sometimes for that reason, I might get a rice ball that doesn't have the seaweed around it, so then you can just eat it without fear of, you know, spilling things all over the place. So again, as my ex-Japanese girlfriend used to tell me, TPO, and that was the first time, admittedly, I'd ever heard that expression, but apparently it stands for time, place, and occasion. And she'd always tell me, whatever it was that I wanted to do when I was out in public, was it appropriate for the current time? Was it appropriate for the place that I was in this case the train? And was it appropriate for the occasion? And while that might sound kind of obvious, that was quite an important turning point for me to change my way of thinking, because at least growing up in the US, I mean, you don't want to be disrespectful towards other people, but you're kind of living in your own lane, you know? If you do something that doesn't really affect others, if you want to do something, you might think, hey, it's my right to do it. It's a free country, right? Who's gonna tell me I'm not allowed to eat? It being my right to do so is generally the first kind of line of thinking that happens in the US where I'm from. Whereas in Japan, I gotta say, people are a lot more considerate. Yes, I want to do something, but again, TPO. Is it appropriate for the time, the place, and the occasion? If so, go right ahead. If not, maybe reconsider doing it when you're at a different time, a different place, or during a different occasion. It's as simple as that. But hey, at least I can share that knowledge with you now, so there's that. Anyways, moving on. A little note about priority seating. In all the trains in Japan in general, you'll have priority seating available. You are allowed to sit in the seats as long as it's not too crowded and clearly no one needs to use them. As soon as the train starts to get a little bit more crowded, then in general, you'll want to leave the priority seating just in case someone comes along who may need it. Oh my gosh, delivery. All right, guys, I need to go pick up the delivery, but yeah, I'm dressed like this. Let's throw this on and see how it goes. Hi, konbanwa. All right, and we're back. Woo! So when the train does start getting more crowded, you generally want to get up just in case someone comes along that needs the seat. Otherwise, you're free to stay in the seat if you're being super vigilant, right? Just in case someone comes along. It might be an elderly person, might be a pregnant woman, might be someone with one of those small but distinctive disability signs that you'll sometimes see in Japan. Bet you didn't know about that. There's also one for pregnant mothers right here. Disability mark? Pregnant mother mark. Just keep an eye out for these marks so that you can pay more care and attention, not just on the trains, but wherever else you might run into someone carrying this symbol. What else? Yeah, if you have a lot of luggage, yeah, just make sure you don't get in anyone's way. Oh, if you're feeling a little sick, it might be a lot better. I mean, okay, if you're sick, it's probably better not to travel at all, but after a long international flight to Japan, chance of you getting sick can be quite high sometimes. So, feeling a little under the weather and you need to ride on the train, it would be considered proper etiquette to go ahead and wear one of those masks. You can find them in any convenience store, any pharmacy, I mean, wherever really. And just in case you might be wanting to cough or you have a runny nose, just to protect people around you from potentially getting infected as well as you can. I mean, during the cold winter months, I also just like wearing masks because it keeps my face nice and warm. And also, if you have seasonal allergies, kafunsho as they call it here, it's also really helpful to try to keep some of those allergenic pollens away from your face, lessen the effects of that allergic reaction. So maybe not a bad idea to have a few masks if you're just traveling around Japan. Okay guys, I think that's pretty much it for trains in Japan. With this knowledge, you are now armed and ready to make the most, whether it's your first time, you're coming around for a second time, third time, fourth time, fifth time. I hope you come back and make the most out of your time here. And I hope that this video is useful. To learn some of the rules in this video, it actually took me quite a while because unless you specifically go asking these questions, no one really teaches you or tells you all the unspoken, unwritten rules and mannerisms known by pretty much literally everyone here in Japan. If you learned something, please leave a like, comment, maybe even subscribe, and I hope to deliver more useful tips and tricks when it comes to traveling in Japan. See you again soon, both in Japan and on this channel. Bye bye for now.